Welcome to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Frank talk about sex and dating.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 19 of season 2. My name is Tamara, and you're listening to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Today's guest is Vernon, who will be talking about erectile dysfunction, or ED, and he believes that men often don't talk about it, and it's something that should be talked about more. Welcome, Vernon, and thank you for joining me today.
Tamara, thank you for having me. I do believe this is a conversation that's needed. I do believe that women talk about their life changes, things that they go through, whether it's their menstrual period or when they have hot flashes and a change of life. But men just don't talk about those things. And I don't know enough about why, but I just want to talk about what I've experienced.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I did mention to you earlier that I dated someone with this issue as well. So if we have time, maybe I can interject what he told me about it as well. But we'll start with your experience and just kind of go through either the chronology of how it happened or the basic message you want to get out first.
So I have diabetes and high blood pressure. And it started 17 years ago or so. And it progressed. And I don't know if the cause was the medications or the diabetes or what, but it's basically that the blood does not flow to the penis. And the veins sort of get restricted. Some doctors have told me that it's plaque that gets into the veins, gets into the penis, and therefore the blood doesn't flow. Therefore, it stops the erection. But it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. The experience of it is debilitating, like emotionally and mentally. Not physically. Physically, everything sort of functions. The body functions. You can still eat, breathe. The blood flows. The heart works and all of that. So this isn't anything that sort of kills you physically, but it does emotionally and mentally. And maybe that's why men don't talk about it, because of the emotional strain. And we have this sort of macho kind of thing. We are man and we are strong and we take care of the family and we have this and we're that and we go to wars and so forth. And there's this thing that happens to us over time, and men just don't talk about it. I have talked about it, and it's interesting the reactions that I get. Do you want me to tell me about some of those conversations?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I belong to a motorcycle club, and they're mainly police officers, and it's a group of 100 men. So in any meeting, we may have 60 men, and even virtual with COVID, we'll have 67 men on a call. Mostly African-American, mostly military. I'm not a police officer, but they'll let 10% in. And so I've talked about both ED, and this last year I got prostate cancer, which when I mentioned that I had prostate cancer, on a virtual call, 5 guys called me afterwards or texted me or emailed me and said they had it too, but they didn't know that each other had it because they won't talk about it. I belong to an entrepreneur group. In this case, it's mostly, the police officer is mostly African-American men, and the entrepreneur group is mostly Caucasian or white men. And it's the same thing. I have the conversations. Now, we have a leader for our entrepreneur group. He's sort of the MC, and he does a lot of research on stuff. And he said he was so glad that I was talking about it because his experience is men don't talk about this stuff. That's why I'm really excited that you offered for me to be on your podcast. Because I believe if women know about it and know that some of the feelings about it and be sensitive to it, then they can help their men go through this and be open about it and talk about it and feel better about themselves. You don't feel good about yourself when this happens.
Yeah.
Timer at 15, I didn't have to look at a woman or touch a woman to get an erection. I think about a woman. Okay.
Yeah.
The little girl that sits beside me or behind me in high school, or don't let me look at one walk down the hallway and I've got to put my books down to hide the erection. To go from that to, my wife died 14 years ago, so my significant other, whether she kissed me on my ears or touched me anywhere on my body and there's no reaction. Going from that change, from a total sort of bang erection to nada, nothing, when you have no libido.
Yeah.
That is that trip, that long journey is very difficult for me, and I assume for any man.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I mentioned that I dated someone who had it. We hadn't been physical, but we dated for like 3 months. And I was the one that took him to the hospital for his procedure. And he said afterwards, if it doesn't work, I may as well not live. That's how serious he felt about his ability to, keep his libido. And he was younger, 50s, late 40s. And he had the surgery too. They laser, it was enlarged, like very enlarged. And they lasered the middle of it. So it actually was able to go down. But he wanted to stop dating when he lost his libido. He's like, I don't want to date. I don't feel like a man. I don't want to do this. But now he's recovered and his libido is back. So but now he's just busy. So, but yeah, so it definitely, he mentioned like, I would rather die than not have my libido. So I can't imagine. And then if women are more sensitive, like you're saying, they're more willing to talk about it and actually express feelings and maybe come to a better understanding of it for both couples. And I also mentioned to you that I interviewed Dr. Assume, who researches this and has devices is the wrong word, but toys and things that help in this department. So, but go ahead. What else did you want to say about it? Or does that sound?
I didn't feel like dying because I'm so accomplished in other areas of my life. And I have been dating a lady for 2 years now. And she's very knowledgeable. And she is the one that told me I had no libido after I got hormone therapy. I had hormone therapy that the doctors told me took my testosterone down to about a 10. We didn't test it. They wanted to be between 400 and 500. And my score right now is 215. So it's on the way up. But with no testosterone or very low, that's what caused the no libido. I had gone through ED downgrading of the erection. They tell me that the erection, they scored between 0 and 10, and you need a 7 for penetration. Well, at 15, I had a 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very high. It was instant like that. Okay. And as time went on, I probably went from an 8 to a 7 to a 6 to a 5. And then you start with, I was going to health food stores and getting these little black pills. I forgot what they called. Maybe
Rhino
when
pill?
I was at a 6. Huh?
Rhino pills?
What did you say?
Rhino pills. I know someone that used those. I don't know if they're not legitimately from a rhino, but they're called. That's the name.
There were 3 or 4 of them that I tried at different times, and they worked, and then they stopped working. So then it was Viagra and Cialis. And so maybe I'm at a 5 with Viagra and Cialis, and they worked. And I've had in my life a very healthy sexual appetite, and that also makes it very difficult. And so maybe I'm at a 5 with Viagra and Cialis, and then they don't work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a downgrading of of your penis erection and it's over time. I said 15 years ago. When I look at it, I think I would have been 59 15 years ago. I'm 74 now. So it may have been 17 or 18 years ago. But over time, it kept going down. And so I went to a workshop, annual convention of something called Take Care of Your Diabetes. And it was in D.C. It was at the convention center, and it was huge. All kinds of people there, all of these classes. So the first year I went, they all kinds of things. Maybe 3 or 4 years later, I got to notice they were having it again. And I went there. I looked at their syllabus, and they had their agenda. They had sex and diabetes. And that's the only one I went to that time. And the doctor that was talking took us through these stages I was telling you about, how slow it goes. And he mentioned the pills and the Cialis and all of that. And then he said, what you can do is take shots in the penis. And everybody in the audience, and there may have been 50 people in this room of 200, maybe set 200, so it looks sparse. We all like, grasp for air, talking about taking a needle and sticking it in your penis. And then the fourth stage was having surgery and having a pump put in, where the pump supposedly pumps up the penis, and it's in your sac. The pump is in your sac, and it pumps up the penis. And they tell me you're supposed to have the same types of feelings, even though you're going through a pump, and you have the climax and ejaculation. So I then went to 2 groups as things got worse, and then Viagra doesn't work, Cialis doesn't work. And so I'm not at a 7 anymore. I can't do penetration. So I went to these 2 people to find out what I can do. And one of them talk about a swan that goes, go so often, and it removes the plaque in the penis, and it helps the blood to flow. And the other place was they had that plus the shots. And this was maybe, right 2.5 years ago, because it was before COVID. So I got the shots. The person did it in the doctor's office. It didn't hurt like I thought. It was a quick thing, and it worked.
Oh,
talking about happy. I was excited, elated. So I started dating the lady I'm with now. I tried it. I could never get to do the shot right. My fingers weren't right. I couldn't. I told him I'd probably need a ball, a tennis ball or something to practice, because I could never get it right. So we tried it. It worked a little bit. And then COVID happened, and we are separated for a year. That first year in 2020, we're separated. And then we got back together. And then I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so I went and stayed with her because she's in the hot part of the country. And I did the radiation treatment there and the hormone treatment. And after I did the hormone treatment, that's when there was no libido. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could play and hug and kiss, do all of the foreplay, but there was nothing after the foreplay, and that was fun. But it was not fun where there was nothing, absolutely nothing. And that was the worst. That feeling was the worst to me. And she was the one to label it that you have no libido. And so she's been right there with me, which is probably why I didn't go down as far as the friend that you talked about of saying death or not wanting to date. It's because she understood it. We could talk about it. She had to lift me up to say it's not anything about you or your character, your manlyhood. It's just how the physical body works and operates. And she was a counselor, a retired counselor. And so she had those skill sets to talk and to put me at ease. And that has been absolutely wonderful. And I can't I loved her before. Now I even love her more that she stuck by me, was able to talk to me, to get me to understand, and to help encourage me to continue to research and study and see what we can do.
Yeah. And you mentioned some of the things she said to you that made you feel better. Was that the extent of it, or was there more things that someone could say for the women that don't know what to say? And I know you did say, it's nothing to do with you.
Women are by nature nurturing and raising children. But for me, she was nurturing me almost as if a child. And there's in the Bible, in the Book of Solomon, my late wife and I used to read that. We didn't have to have porn. You could read the Book of Solomon, and it talks the Book of Solomon about, he was talking about climbing up on the mountains and the woman using the breast to nourish him like the woman used the breast for the child. And it is holding each other and talking to each other and just being there for the other person. And I guess it's the woman understanding it's not that the man does not find her attractive anymore, or that she's not sexually appealing anymore. It is a physical thing that happens. And I relate it to just the changes in life. Some men get it and some men don't. Some men get this erectile dysfunction. Some men don't. It's much more prevalent than one thinks once people start talking about it. It happens a lot. And I'm just hoping that men can be as open as women are in talking about the changes of life.
Yeah. And I can see where
we can talk about it together. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the exact same thing, that it seems like, women may take it personally, like you said, that it's something about them, and men don't want to say, so they may not correct that belief by the women. So, yeah, like you said, just talking together and having the dialogue, which is hard for
holding each other,
do.
nurturing. Yeah, it's and I'm glad we're having this talk, because I don't know why men didn't talk about it. I said it earlier. Now as we're talking, yeah, I get it. And if nurturing is what we do in a love relationship, lifting each other up, boy, we need to do that when men are going through this. Lifting the spirits up, lifting the human being up, and the physical body isn't working. But there's all the emotional that has to be lifted up. And that's what she did for me, so that I didn't go down to, I don't want to date, or because, dating is so much more than sex. And I women have told me that all my life. When I was younger, I'm going, oh, sex is it. But after older and romance and intimacy, it's much, much more than sex. But without the sexual energy, without the sexual stuff, it does put a drain on a relationship, a strain.
Yeah, or it can. Yeah, like I said, and I think that might be the part where people struggle with the most, is the intimacy, the non-physical intimacy. And some people, I'm sure there's people can, but yeah.
So what did you feel? What did you feel when you were dating the guy?
I understood, and he, soon after we met, he mentioned that he was having surgery and he was having issues about it. And for him, it was more the frequent urination that was his issue. Like his prostate was very, like, the most enlarged. His doctor had told him he was like the most enlarged for his age. And for him, it was and there's actually a TV show about this too, the Kominsky Method. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. Michael Douglas stars in it, and he's in his 70s and has prostate issues as well. And but yeah, that was where it manifested mostly. And even when we did like the foreplay part, he got an erection, but then he got what felt like an urinary tract infection for days afterwards. I guess that can happen with the prostate issues. But yeah, so then when he didn't want to date anymore because he didn't have a libido, he's like, there is no point in dating. Like, I don't have a libido. But now that he's recovered, I'm sure he would be more open to it, but, and he feels like a man now, in his words. He didn't feel like a man, which, and we didn't know each other well enough for me to nurture him necessarily. I mean, I was supportive and went to the hospital with him.
Well, that frequent urination that was the only issue that I had with the prostate treatment. I did like I said, the hormone treatment, then the radiation. It's called proton radiation. And the doctor says that the radiation inflamed the prostate, and that inflammation in the prostate is what caused the frequent urination. But getting up 5 times a night, that can wear on the body, particularly not getting the sleep. But the feel like a man part of it, I get that so clearly. The only other thing is with me and my work, with me and what my passions are, I had other things that I could do. And then I was fortunate enough to have a lady that stood by me, talked to me, worked with me. She helped me to understand what I was going through. And so that caring just made a huge difference to me, feeling like a man, feeling like a human being even more. And that's what I would like women to get, is how much need a man has when this is going on. And like I said, I didn't know what it was, this no libido thing. I knew what the erectile dysfunction issue was, but no libido, when no part of your body, no cell in your body responds to affection, to kissing, there was that. I don't have words to explain what that feels like. The emptiness,
Yeah, actually, I dated someone with low libido as well. And we cuddled a lot, and it was nice to just connect and cuddle and be together. And I wasn't as sensitive as I could have been, because I did want the sexual activity. And he was always unclear if it was me and or his libido. So that didn't help, that he was like, well, unsure if I'm just not attracted to you or if it's my libido. He consequently found out that it was his libido and potentially me, because he likes more feminine women and I'm not one like that. But yeah, he started taking hormones to up his testosterone, and now he has his libido back.
Well, see, the doctors are telling me that both my naturopathic doctor and my oncologist, that I could take testosterone, but the testosterone helps to enliven the cancer cells. So if I take the testosterone now, it is possible. And I don't know if that's 50-50 or 90% possibility. I don't know what the risks are, but it's possible that the cancer cells can be awakened. And so they are suggesting that I wait a year before I start taking any kind of either natural testosterone enhancements or shots or pills or whatever form it is, that I just let my testosterone go naturally. And then after a year, and so we're talking about another 5 months before I can start taking testosterone enhancements to get the libido back up and get the erectile functioning back up.
Yeah.
So I'm anxiously looking forward to that.
Yeah. And when you do, or even if you don't, like I mentioned, I interviewed Dr. Soom, who has Mystery Vibe, and he says, there's a toy that fits around the penis, and then it vibrates enough where it actually stimulates you enough where you will, according to him, have an erection, and then the ring kind of keeps it erect. So just for people out there, Mystery Vibe. A friend ordered them. Actually, he hasn't received them yet. It's all one word, Mystery Vibe, VIBE. And yeah, it's like a ring that vibrates and then holds it in place, so you stay erect. And it's designed.
And how you spell his name?
Dr. Soum, Soum. And he's a couple
Okay.
episodes before this one.
Oh, you were going to say it's designed. I cut you off, so I'm sorry.
No, he was a PhD, and also he used to, I can't remember exactly, but he designed like Defense Department stuff, like devices, and then translated it into devices for, sex devices instead. And he does a lot of research too. So, but we are close to, I try to keep it around 30 minutes. Is there any closing comments or parting comments you want to make sure we get across? I know, or reiterate something from today's talk.
Well, to women out there, it's the message is please nurture your man even more if they have erectile dysfunction, and particularly if they have no libido. It's going to lift them up to know that they are a man, and that's not sex is not the only thing you look for from your man. And then do the research with him to find out what are the options and alternatives to getting the erectile, the penis back to function, whether it's the mystery vibe that Dr. Soum has, or it's the testosterone shots, or it's the wave treatment. There's a number of different ways of getting it back naturopathically or even surgery. So it's being there for your man to lift him up, because it's a dark hour for men. It was very, very difficult, particularly not knowing what was going on with the body and having a sexual appetite and not being able to live that. And I did not go to the point of wanting death, but I could see somebody being there and even taking their life. So this is serious, serious business. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for the conversation. It's helped me to get some clarity.
Yeah, thank you. And as you said, this is needed, and especially for women that think it may be about them because their husband is too afraid or their partner is too afraid to share what's really going on. So they just kind of don't discuss it at all, and just kind of leave it an elephant in the room. And the woman kind of blames herself, the man blames himself, but the lack of dialogue maybe could erase those kinds of issues. Yeah. And as always, there was something I was thinking and I totally forgot. So I will just say that thank you very much for being on. Much needed topic. And I'm sure a lot of people will learn from this. And good luck if you do try the mystery vibe stuff. And there are other companies out there, but he's done a lot of research on it. So I'm hopeful that will be a helpful product for you and others. All right. Thank you very much, Vern, for being on.
Thank you.
All right. And hope you enjoyed the episode straight from the source's mouth. Please follow and subscribe and leave a review if you find something helpful. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Frank Talk, Sex and Dating educates.